Someday soon, the time of Trump will pass. This circus of incompetence, corruption, and cruelty will end. When it does, the men and women in Trump's Republican Party will come to you, telling you they can repair the damage he's done. They'll beg you to forget their votes to exonerate Trump from his crimes, ask you to forgive their silence, their cowardice, and their betrayals as Trump wrecked this nation. Every time they had a choice between America and Trump, they chose Trump. Every time they were called to the service of this nation and their sacred oath, they chose Trump. Every time. Learn their names. Remember their actions. And never, ever trust them again.
Whether you are political or not, you've got to admit that that was a very well made ad from the images, the transition, the sound design. That was a very impactful advertisement. Anyway, let's move on. We are on track to the Manticore, so I'm going to show you a couple of gameplays from the Manticore. Now we've got equipment 2.0 on us, so I have the commander's vision system, vertical stabilizer, and optics on this tank. Now the reason being is I still want to maintain some combat capability, but I also want to see if the commander's vision system is very helpful in this tank. Now I don't feel like this tank should be played as a passive scout. I think that this tank should be played as a combat active light tank, which means you need to put in your work as you need to put your gun to work in this tank. You can't just be a tier 10 top tier and just be focusing on passive spotting. What I mean by that is, you know, sitting in a bush and trying to spot for your team. When you're in a tier 10 tank, you can't just be focusing on passive spots. You need to actively contribute to your team's success, and that is kind of my point in playing the tank this way. All your passive spotting gameplay, it should be done in tier 4, tier 5. Once you've progressed past tier 5, you need to start putting your gun into work, and that is why I set up the tank this way. In fact, in the two games that you see me play in this video, you're not gonna have much justification for the commander's vision system. Now I know the commander's vision system equipment is quite powerful, but to justify it, you need to have enough gameplay, to have enough games where you can make use of the commander's vision system. Now I know he fired, so as soon as he fired, I will peek out and shoot him. I spotted that STRV there, but not because of the commander's vision system. He wasn't behind the bush. In fact, he's out in the open and he just disappears just like that. Amazing camo on that STRV 103. Now this tank does have a little bit of mobility, 68 kilometers an hour going forward, 25 kilometers an hour going backward. Reload time 13.42 seconds. Now if I use the rammer, I could get 10% off that reload time, which means I could get it to about 1.4 seconds quicker reload. So I could get it down to like 12 seconds of reload, but I did, in equipment 2.0 I decided to try out the CVS system. Aim time 1.9 seconds and dispersion 0.38. Dispersion is not great at all. It does take some time to aim, but the moving dispersion 0.15 is pretty good. Now I hear the 50 TP reloading, the 60 TP reload. That is why I backed up and decided to shoot him in the lower plate again. And he tries to chase me. I'll try to use my mobility to run away. Just as well, he gets destroyed for trying to push forward there. That STRV 103B has got amazing camo. He is sitting out in the open and he disappeared. And me trying to spot him had to eat one shot from him, because apparently when he disappeared, his camo dropped. My camo was still not dropped, so he spotted me as I was poking to spot him, and he fired the first shot. So again, this tank with the commander's vision system in this game, it is not exactly doing me any good, because there are no bushes. Well, there's hardly any bushes in this game for the enemy to hide in. So to make the CVS work, you really need to have games like Malinovka, Murovanka, maybe, Pilsen on the railway tracks. So there are not a lot of maps that you're going to have the commander's vision system advantage. But when you do have those kind of games where you can use your commander's vision system, you can have really big games, 8,000, 10,000 spotting games in those kind of maps where you have a lot of bushes for the enemy to hide in. But those games are so few and far between, it's really difficult for me to justify using the commander's vision system. But this setup that I have with the optics, vertical stabilizer and CVS is kind of like a compromise between combat capability and spotting capability, which is how I think I will keep this tank. Yes, I'm gonna be slower in the reload for 1 second plus, so I'm just gonna leave it as that and try and play it the way it is. A second class in this game, I got about 2.9 spotting there. That was totally from the 60 TP and the STRV, I suppose, but it wasn't because of the commander's vision system, that's for sure. Now in the second game, we're going to play in Ensk, and Ensk is definitely not a light tank map. Now I could go to the field and try to do some spotting there, but there are wheel tanks in this game, and when you have wheel tanks in the enemy team, it's very difficult for you to counter a wheel tank in a Manticore. Number one, it's difficult to defend yourself with the slow reload. It's difficult to hit those wheel tanks. If you miss your shot on the wheel tank, they're just gonna YOLO you and circle you and fire shots at you, and you can't do anything about it. And even if you made one shot on the wheel tank in the open field, they're still gonna charge down on you, because your one shot only does 390 damage or whatever, and he's gonna run circles around you firing HE. So it is not wise for me to try and take position out in the field. Instead, I'm gonna see if I can outspot these guys crossing and try to help my team here right in the middle of the pack. So I'm not too far away from support, but I'm not out in the open by myself trying to fight the EBRs. Now you see me still hanging around here at the railway tracks, trying to spot anything that's going to try to cross or try to push from the railway tracks, but I am not going too far out to help the pattern, which is further out to the east side. You can see the EBR has already taken position in the K0 line. That is not where I want to be, because I cannot fight an EBR. I'm going to try and see if I can pen the side of the turret there. No, I cannot, but I still want to make myself as useful as I can. So I'm going to hang out here for as long as I can and try to keep that pattern supported at least. I catch this FV4005, land one shot at him, see if I can get a second shot at him. Looks like he's smarter than that. He's gonna back off and go back into cover, and I'm gonna try and stay in this position for as long as I can. But if you look at the minimap, I have one eye on the minimap. I can see the EBR 105 making his way here, so that is my cue to run away. I do not want to face him one-on-one, because the best I could do is do one shot on him, and then he will just run run rings around me and totally dominate me. So I want to keep my distance so that I have some cover. And here I am trying to shoot in third person. This is a skill everybody should learn to have, because when you're firing through barriers, through walls, through fences, I've got APCR loaded on, which means I can fire through the walls and through the barriers, but I won't be able to see them through the walls in scoped vision. So I'm firing in third person here, just try to line up as best I can and then fire through those fences and walls, and that's the best I can do. So now you can see that Yuda's taken a big hit. Now he's the one shot for me. Now I can push forward and maybe help my team out and finish off this guy and then put some pressure onto these two tanks. I lock on with the auto aim there because I have 0.15 moving dispersion, which means shooting on the move is not too bad in this tank. That's exactly what I do with that UDES and with this WZ 132A or whatever this Chinese light tank is. I managed to finish him off on the move. Now remember, the dispersion is terrible, 0.38 on the Manticore, but your moving dispersion is pretty good. So when you fire on the move, if you're not wiggling around turning your turret, you're not going to be losing a lot of bloom, so you can fire when you're on the move. Now, I'm not pulling the trigger here because I have an angle on him. I want to make sure that I'm flat into the back of the tank destroyer so that I make sure that I penetrate my shot 100%. I try to ram the CGC, but it only does 24 damage. It does more damage to me than it does the CGC. He's trying to shoot me, but I try to close that distance and make it impossible for him to do so. And we finished this game with 2.5k damage and only 378 spotting damage. Again, the commander's vision system didn't do me much good there, but the Manticore, in my opinion, is not a passive spotter. It is an active combat light tank, so play that way most of the time. Thanks for watching. I hope you get some information and have a little bit of idea on how you want to approach your Manticore gameplay. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.